What's up, everybody?
Oh.
Welcome to the stream, Weekly Geekly Podcast. Let's start out with the mega here.
Working on my Vision costume.
Yeah, Vision here. And of course, Cyber Ninja joining as usual for our Weekly Geekly. This week, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this up on the screen right now. Right at the beginning.
Shocker.
Right off the bat.
Right away. So if you are here, you have not seen the finale episode, just be warned that we are probably going to get questions about in credit scenes and all kinds of stuff. And we're going to dive into so many things from the WandaVision episode. I really just wanted to talk about that this week and not put any other news in here. So that's going to be the primary conversation. Of course, if you guys have any other questions for stuff that's happened this week, feel free to drop them in the chat as a super chat and we will discuss them. But yeah, WandaVision spoilers abound. That's really what we're going to dive into. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I am Eric. If you're watching us on Twitch and you're catching us here and you're not going to be able to watch the whole thing, you can always watch it on playback over on YouTube, and I'll remind you guys at the end. So we have a super chat from Gary Gammon here. 199. Is anybody excited about Batwoman tonight? Well, I think Batwoman tonight is a rerun, or it's either off. I don't think the new episode starts till next week, so I might be wrong. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure because I did not do a mega video because I thought that it was off. So I'm assuming it's still off, but you know, you can still be excited about it. It's even if it's a rerun, I assume. But anyway, so WandaVision finale came and yeah, I mean, probably I think it crashed Disney Plus again, like
really?
Overnight. Yeah, I believe it crashed Disney Plus. So like there are people that couldn't get in to watch it for the first like couple of hours because it kept crashing. So I sometimes when I try to get in early or whatever, I just keep refreshing it because that's what you do. And after like the third or fourth try, you finally get in. But the thing is, once you get in, you can't pause it and you can't back out of it because if you try to go back in again, you'll have to go through the same same thing all over again. So are you guys watching it like right when it drops at 3 a.m. our time?
Oh God, no, I watch it when I watch it when I finish work and I just, get my dinner ready and I just watch it then.
Yeah, we all sit down as a family, watch it over dinner. So it's like the day of, man, like I wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work and I'll check, my socials and immediately people are spoiling stuff. And I'm like, the show's not even 4 hours old. Like you can't wait. Like how much attention do you want?
Okay. So this is probably a controversial theory and I'm probably going to get people mad at me, but I always do this kind of stuff. I don't think it should drop at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like I don't understand why, even when Netflix did it, I don't understand why you would drop it at that time. Like drop it at like 12 in the afternoon the next day or something. Like, I understand they want to get it out the day of, but it trends in the middle of the night. It doesn't trend during prime time. It's the weirdest thing ever.
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand what the difference is.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning. Yeah, because I'm usually in the bed waking up in the morning. Like, let me check.
Right. Exactly. It's you wake up and you immediately get spoilers. And this concept that people can just stay off the internet. I work on the internet. Both my jobs require me to be online. So there's no way for me to avoid the spoilers. It's just not possible. So I think the day and age of like just stay off social media, I think that's not really a thing. So yeah, I'm just really curious. Like the 3 a.m. drop time on the East Coast is a little weird. So well then Paigey, why does it release at 12 o'clock midnight on the United States West Coast time? I'm just saying it's based on midnight West Coast time. That's my complaint. Like it just doesn't make sense to release it. Release it the next day. Oh yeah, look, it comes out 7 p.m. for him. Well, you know what? Lucky you.
Yeah, that's perfect time for you.
7 p.m. should come out in America. It's all about us, Paigey. Stop it. Stop that. Gary here with the 199 super chat. Are you guys mad at me or are you proud of me? Not mad at you. Always proud of you.
Well, I mean, but see, they cancel each other out.
They could.
So
yeah,
we're good.
They could. Like Sydney here, I have to watch at 3 a.m. because my whole timeline is talking about it. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
You can mute words, but you can't like pictures and GIFs and stuff that people put up. You can't avoid it.
You can't mute those. Right. So we get this at 8 a.m. So Thomas, I'm assuming you're in the UK then, right? Is that where you're at? So,
yeah, 8 a.m. is not bad. Actually, 7 p.m. is perfect.
But, Brian, it's crashed their app 3 times now. So probably not some people watch it. I mean, they do that anyway.
I know Netflix does the same thing. They did that with like the Daredevil, and I at the time it was weird. I'm trying to remember. I know I stayed up for when Daredevil was released. I don't remember why I did that. I had to have been working, right?
So here's the thing. The difference in the Netflix thing and this for me is that if you like Daredevil and you know it comes out at midnight or 3 a.m. our time, whatever it may be, you can literally just take a day off and say, I'm going to watch the whole season, right? Or the whole thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But with this, it's every week you'd have to do it, which means if you work on Friday mornings, you're screwed, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go.
Yeah,
all right, let's go ahead. Scotland. Okay, cool. Here we go. We're getting to some spoilers here. 199 super chat from Monquay Edwards. I believe that's got that right. I hope if I mispronounced that, sorry. Thinking out of the box, maybe Vision went to Wakanda. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So we have this amazing fight in this finale with Hex Vision versus the White Vision from Sword. And I will say this, they did not skimp on the special effects in this series at all. No, I feel like this to me looked like a movie chopped up into bits and pieces, and this finale definitely felt like that. So we have the Visions fighting each other, and did you guys think when White Vision originally landed and to see Wanda that he was going to remember who she was? Did you think that, or did you know that was like a misdirect from them?
Yeah, I didn't think at all. I thought, I honestly, and I said it on your stream, was it yesterday? Or it wasn't yesterday. I think it was the Weekly Geekly I missed. Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be a percentage of Ultron. I thought that since Vision wasn't there anymore, maybe it was going to come back and be Ultron, but it wasn't. But I wasn't disappointed with that. I just thought that would have been a cool to see them fight again. But yeah, I was fine with it. But yeah.
So that was your idea, was that you thought you were going to see like an Ultron?
Yeah, I was hoping that so it wasn't the same voice fighting each other. I don't know, but again, I wasn't disappointed with it. But I was personally, I just wanted Ultron back.
All right. What about you, Omega? Any thoughts?
I didn't think he was gonna remember anything. He was gonna just go in pretty much like he was in the comics, just straight up like Terminator mentality. Just no, that's the target. Take it out.
Yeah. So like when I heard the cracking as he was like trying to squeeze her head, I was like, this is not good. Like, and I knew right away, I was like, something's going to happen. Either she's going to use her powers on him, which I didn't think she would because she saw him as Vision. So she was like, she didn't think of doing that or whatever. But then, of course, Hex Vision shows up, and that's the way I'm going to distinguish them now. Hex Vision, White Vision. That's kind of the name I've given to them. So Hex Vision shows up, and he's got his Mind Stone powers and everything like that. And so he's fighting against this other Vision, and he's just, I love the look of the white, gold, and blue. Like he isn't all like completely white. Like he's got these accent colors. Yeah. And so it's really neat. But it's just fun.
It looked a little wet to me though. Like in parts of like his neck, it looked wet. So I didn't like that, but I think it looked, I like the stone look here. It looked better. I mean, I liked the outfit. But just looked in parts like the way the lighting was hitting it. I'm like,
would you be okay moving forward if Vision looked this way for a while? Because I actually think that's what's going to happen. Honestly,
I'm perfectly fine with that.
We have this battle between them, and after fighting back and forth for a bit, they finally get to a point where they're like, and it reminded me again of Star Trek, like Data and these, like how AI talk to each other. Like they basically break it down, even Vulcan like, where it's like they're talking logic between each other. And the White Vision asks the Hex Vision, he's like, elaborate. He wants to know more about his theories about who is the one true Vision. Like, is it you? Is it me?
Yeah, and they go to the whole what's Boat of Theseus. Basically, those who aren't familiar, it's the whole. I forget if it was the Iliad or the Odysseys. Which I always forget which one. Anyway,
I think it's the Odysseys, but I'm not sure. So
it's basically they keep repairing this boat constantly over and over. And it's like, which is a boat. The way it basically is like, is the boat
still the boat it was?
Yeah, yes, that's what everything. It was. Yeah.
It's sort of like the whole concept
of
like one of the conversations I hear a lot, and I'm sure you hear a lot of, Mega, because you are into all this like diving into these conspiracies and stuff like that, is that if you take someone's consciousness and you keep replacing it with cybernetic parts or something like that, eventually, like with RoboCop, is that person still who they were at a certain point?
Is it the body, or is it the soul, or is that even the real thing that goes into that, all of that?
It's an existential thing. Like that's really what they're talking about, like the idea of that. And so one thing we find out is that the White Vision still retains the memories of the original Vision up to the point where he was destroyed by Thanos, which means he doesn't know anything about what happened in, Westview or anything like that. And so the Hex Vision uses the Mind Stone powers to unlock the memories of the White Vision, and he just flies away.
Yeah,
like he remembers everything and he just flies away. And I have a theory outside of where he is going, because we can talk about that as well. But I think he's going to end up being like in the comics, where he is a sentient AI, and he is self-aware and he remembers everything, but he's not going to have any emotions whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to feel for Wanda the way he did when he had the Mind Stone, because I think the Mind Stone was what unlocked that emotional potential within his AI.
It was the emotion chip. Yeah, it was the emotion chip for Data.
Any thoughts on that or no?
Seems legit to me, man.
Because it was a story in the comics. It definitely was a story in the comic where he didn't have emotions. So
I don't know. I don't know what they'll do with him as a whole. Maybe that'll be the case. For whatever reason, like I was curious as to where he went, but not enough to wonder about like where he's going. Does that make sense? Like I was like, oh, where'd he go? But I never like it got put on the back burner as to like where that story will go for that character.
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of like,
because
okay,
in reality, this show was about the Vision we met in the show, not the real Vision. So when the real Vision shows up and leaves, that wasn't the character we'd been following anyway. We've been following this creation of Wanda's since the beginning. Right. So it was appropriate that one of them left us on a cliffhanger and the other one got a ending, so to speak. So theories on where he's going. We had heard Wakanda here. We had the super chat with Wakanda. Any thoughts on like where he could show up? I'm thinking he can show up in the Armor War series, the one that's coming with all the Stark Tech stuff, or maybe even Secret Invasion, because I think that would be appropriate for him as well, since that will be related to S.H.I.E.L.D. probably, or the government. So I don't really know. I don't know where he really would fit in the future phases. So I really don't know. I don't know where he's going. I'm at a loss. I don't know where that character could go. I don't know what they could do with the story now.
Yeah, I'm just along for the ride. I have no idea what's going on.
So let's talk about places he probably won't show up in the next few films. One of them is Shang-Chi. He's probably not going to be in Shang-Chi.
Obvious.
I don't think
there's no point.
I don't think he's going to be in the Spider-Man movie. I don't think he's going to be in the Eternals. I don't think he's going to be in Doctor Strange 2.
Or Black Panther 2.
Or Thor. I don't think he's going to be in Thor either. So the other movie he could show up in is Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. Like he could show up in that movie. Because
I mean, maybe he's just going to go and try and find himself, like, and maybe go to the point of origin and start there.
Would you guys?
Where was that?
Do you think there's a possibility for a Vision show where he has to sort of like remember stuff and bring himself back? Because I think we could do a show about Vision, since Wanda's path is diverging from him now. I think WandaVision kind of split those two characters. Like I think they're down different paths now, honestly. Because even the children aren't his children.
Yeah.
So the White Vision has no connection to Wanda anymore.
Yeah, so I was even thinking, because how people say, is there going to be a second season? Maybe this is the second season.
Yeah.
It'll just be called Vision. Yeah, I don't know.
It could be. I'd watch a Vision series. So.
I would like to see a series with him in it. I don't know where he goes. He never really, in Age of Ultron, he was created, they stopped Ultron. Then you saw his growth with Wanda, and then he was gone in Infinity War. And then you see more of him with Wanda and WandaVision. So I'd love to see where he goes. I love the character. I love the character in the comics. So
yeah,
I just don't know. I don't know where he goes. I'm down for whatever. I just don't know where he fits. So he's kind of OP. So where do you put him?
He is, and even without the Mind Stone, that power source in his head is powered by the Hex. So now his energy source within him is this pull on Hex energy, I guess. That's how they turned him on. So I'm very curious to how that's going to play out later on, or will he ever run out of power?
And it's weird too, because if you didn't watch, like you had mentioned it when WandaVision first started, that I don't know if you were for it or not for it, where they would have a series where if they did something in a movie, you would had to have seen the series to understand what happens. If you didn't see WandaVision and all of a sudden you see a White Vision show up in a movie, that would be very confusing. So I don't know what you do with him. I think you just give him his own series.
I think
on Disney Plus.
Well, no, I think what's going to happen is if he did show up, they would just consider him to be part of S.W.O.R.D., I guess. Like he's literally he was rebuilt by S.W.O.R.D. So technically he's still a S.W.O.R.D. device or
property
whatever.
At least.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know. I would love to see a Vision series. It's going to be really interesting to see where he goes from here. So overall, we'll talk about what happens with Vision when we get to the end of the review, because we got to still talk about some Wanda stuff.
Yeah.
But the White Vision, we'll have to see what happens with that character. Let's talk a bit about the townspeople and their story in the series, because they're kind of the side characters that got forgotten about. And I don't mean like forgotten by viewers. I mean, Wanda just didn't think about what she was doing to all these people, not to the degree that she knew. And we heard the word nightmare dropped a lot. And so people assumed Nightmare was going to be a villain. And I think we got an explanation for that when one of the townspeople says, we're having your nightmares. Like they're experiencing her dreams. So when they sleep, they don't have their own dreams. They have Wanda's nightmares, basically. So I think that answers the question on where Nightmare came from. And I don't think we're going to see the Nightmare character now. I think that ship has sailed in that regard. I think this, if it were going to show up, it would have shown up in the series. I don't see any reason for that character to show up any later at all. Now, there's some other characters that have been name dropped that I think still have potential to come, but I do believe that as far as the Nightmare character, I just don't see it. So, thoughts on this? Do you think this is the way they're handling the Nightmare thing, or do you think you think it's still possible we could see that character? And how do you feel about the townspeople revealing that they were basically in a living hell this whole time, even while she was controlling them?
It's dark.
Yeah,
it's dark, man. That's really dark when you think about it and how long they were actually there. And now that they didn't it say they won't remember what happened to them? Like they won't remember the
she was
hex?
saying like I think that was just Monica's just mentioning they don't realize what you sacrificed to stop all of this.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, I think they had a week of hell, so they're going to remember this happening, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So that was dark, but I as far as the Nightmare character, I'm pretty sure I'd said it before. I mean, all the deep cuts, which we'll get into in the overview of the season when we get to it, a lot of them failed to come to fruition, and that's either on us or on the show, but we can get in on that at a later point.
So, by the way, Agatha reveals in this episode that after she made a promise to Wanda about giving her back her family if she just sacrificed her power to her or whatever, she said at the end, though, that she never could fulfill that promise because a witch can't change a spell, someone else's spell they've cast or whatever. So how did Agatha revert the people back from Wanda's spell? Take them out of it? Because it makes sense with the Mind Stone, because the Mind Stone was part of Wanda's, it was inside of her. So having Vision do that made sense. But Agatha being able to unenchant these people, that seems like a change to her spell. And Agatha was like, I could never, you can't make changes to spells. You can't do those things. So I thought that was a little weird. Did you guys, did you think about that at all?
I don't know. I think you may be misinterpreting that.
So what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, but when you were saying that she can't change someone else's spell, I think when she was in her own space with all those runes around her in the basement, Wanda could not cast at all. I'm talking about the fact that she promised to Wanda that she would fix the broken spell that Wanda had cast, but then she said, we can't do that. You can't change a spell. That's something else.
But then she was able to change Wanda's spell on the people in the town and take them out of there. That was
probably just temporarily, just to kind of say, look, this is what you're doing to these people. I think it was just kind of a temporary stop.
Well,
it wasn't permanent at all.
She was pulling strings inside of the hex already. And I think that was more or less like she can alter things within it, but not stop the hex.
Yeah, she couldn't stop it full sail, just stop, but she could just manipulate it a little bit.
So you're saying that she couldn't completely take them out of the spell? That would have to be Wanda doing that, right?
Yeah, this was more or less misdirection. I think. Okay. I think it was more
I'll accept that. I'll accept that. I just wasn't sure how you guys felt about it, because for me, I was wondering if that was crossing the line of plot over story or not. But
there was a lot of issues that I had with the whole fight anyway. But you have to remember it was TV, and that's kind of where I drew the line with it, right? Because we can get to it when we get to it. And
also with the people, and this is the reason why I'm glad they're not just going to forget this, because this is going to be part of Wanda's legacy. She has to have this. She's always been a character, even in the comics, where she's been good, she's been bad, she's been good, she's been bad. And I think in the movies right now, we're getting a good back and forth with her character, because remember what happened in Africa and then what happened here. These are things that she's going to do that are going to follow her. You know what I mean? When they talk about this character, they're going to talk about all the things she's done. And this is going to be another one of those things where it's we can't trust her because of this reason. So... Anyway, let's answer a couple super chats between this and the next part of the topic. Gary with 19 super chat. Is the Flash second episode getting delayed later? No. It's not getting delayed. Thank you for the super chat though. I saw something funny from Paigey here. And
Something funny from Paigey? Somebody wrote it out for him.
Yeah, $2 super chat. Ralph Boner. I'm not saying those at all. No. Nope. Not saying those.
You got no sense.
Those are like the you call a bowling alley and ask for people to announce those. And is so and so there? Yeah, I get it. So speaking of that, let's talk about Monica and Quicksilver because their story kind of intertwined a bit in this finale. And then we'll talk a bit about Monica. Mm-hmm. So out of everything in the episode, I think I'm pretty good with whatever the changes were and where they wanted to go with the story because I don't think the theories. I don't think they affected my enjoyment of it. You know what I mean? So, but the one thing that I think they made a misstep on was how they treated Quicksilver in the series. And let me tell you why. Because originally I gave them credit for extending like this olive branch to the Fox Marvel X-Men fans and said, hey, we're watching you guys. This is our, we're going to do this. They could have made a multiversal Quicksilver. They could have done that. There was nothing saying they couldn't. Agatha could have easily been like, I used a spell and he came from another world or something like that. They could have easily done that. Mm-hmm. But instead they went for this gag with him that reminded me a lot of Iron Man 3. That reminded me a lot of these characters where there's absolutely no reason to do this. And I think it seemed funny to them when they were writing it, but I don't think it came across funny to me in the episode only because I can only imagine all the fans that were really excited for Quicksilver to be there, only to find out that the twist is not only is Ralph just a guy that was there in town, but he looks just like Quicksilver, and this guy never was a mutant to begin with.
It was just some guy.
Yeah. So what do you think?
I said a couple episodes back that it was just for fan service.
Right.
Mm-hmm. There was no way that was going to be a multiversal Quicksilver. I wish they would have done something like that just because it could have introduced a whole new thing, but they're going to do that in Doctor Strange too. So this was it's like it's fan service, but is it really fan service?
It wasn't at the end of the day. Yeah, no, this wasn't.
Like,
it started
it's more
out
like, ha, you want this. We're not giving it to you.
It's making fun of the fans.
Yeah,
I don't like that part.
Yeah, like somebody in the chat mentions it almost felt like it was a middle finger to the Fox fans, and I say good. I hated those movies.
So yeah, I don't. Maybe I didn't think much about that. I don't really care. The name could have been Gerald Levert or something. It could have been anything. It doesn't matter. Like it's just the fact that they did this. Now a lot of people have said, oh, maybe that was the person that that Sword had as a witness protection character. Was
I heard
this
that one
Ralph
too.
character, whatever. Does it matter really at this point? I mean, they've already ruined this character. They've already ruined the whole Quicksilver thing. And I will say, out of everything in the series that we've had, this is the first one that actually made me like give them major side eye because I think it was a missed opportunity. And also, can we talk for a second about the fact that Agatha was able to give someone super speed?
Yeah, you can just give someone powers. Like, let's do that.
If she could just give people
she's on
powers,
that level.
But look, if she could just
she's apparently pretty broken.
Oh yeah,
she's been around since the 1600s, right?
I'm not questioning her power levels. I'm not saying that she couldn't do this. My question is, if you were capable of doing this, you could have assembled your own team of Avengers and given them powers and taken what you wanted. Like, why do you need the Scarlet Witch powers if you were powerful enough to just give people like powers? Like I mean, yeah, I get she used the necklace. Look, guys, I don't misunderstand what happened. It was a spell. And if you can do a spell at that level, then I think there's no reason for you to want the level of power that the Scarlet Witch has when you can give people superpowers. I just
Now, I don't know if this works in the same vein as it does in D&D because there is a thing called concentration spells. So you can only concentrate on one spell at a time. Maybe she had
a lot that she had to.
It was just a limitation on. Yeah,
she didn't seem. Yeah, I get that, but she didn't seem to have to consciously do anything with Pietro. He seemed to be very independent. He was just doing. He was
but after once Wanda pushed him away, he never did the super speed every time we saw him after that. So it could have just been like at that moment she was focusing on it, and when she wasn't focusing on him, maybe he didn't have it.
What do you mean?
Because after the episode, during the Halloween episode, he never used the super speed again. All the times we saw him. He did use it. He used it against Monica, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, I got nothing.
So, I mean, my question is that if you're that powerful, I don't know. Literally, you can give people superpowers. Let's just take that into account for a second. Like, I get that she maybe wanted the Scarlet Witch powers because it was a myth and maybe the Darkhold had some information that we don't know about. But I would say this, if you can give people superpowers, you are broken. You are literally broken. You gave someone super speed. One of the most broken powers in all of comic books.
In all of comics, yeah. Yeah, I have... Here's the problem when you have magic on magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like with the super speed problem. You can kind of get away with whatever you want in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, you have to remember what that person did or didn't do in the past.
Right.
Because when you start messing it up, it's like, well, wait, you could have just done this because you did that before. And that's what happened with Strange in Infinity War. Everybody's like, well, he could have just cut off Thanos' hand.
You could have. Yeah.
Because they did it earlier in the movie.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, but, it doesn't work that way.
Shane, I get what you're saying there about her wanting to be magical remote control because Wanda doesn't have to actually cast spells to use her magic, whereas Agatha does. But I still don't see, in my opinion, I still don't see how that makes her any more powerful than Agatha in that sense.
Excuse me. It's kind of a poorly explained limitations, if any, on they just didn't really explain the
not only did she give him powers,
well.
but they literally looked like Quicksilver's powers. Like it wasn't like he just was fast. I mean, and one of the kids had speed that looked just like that. So she literally just gave him a speed item. It's almost like an enchanted weapon from Asgard or something. You know what I mean? Like it's because somebody else mentioned earlier that science is broken as well. And I agree it is, but at least with science, they try to explain it a little bit. With magic, there's not a lot of explanation.
Whatever.
So, all right, let's move on from that because I could talk about that for hours. Let's talk about Monica because Monica had some pretty cool stuff that happened in this episode. So I think it goes without saying that everyone has received Monica very well, right? I think everybody really likes this character, Monica Rambeau, right?
Well, no, she's awesome, dude. She is absolutely awesome. I think what this does is sets up a show for her. Because just setting up a movie now where her origin story is in a show, that'd be weird. But I'm all for her having a show and then going on into the films. Right. I can't wait. I want to see. I hope we see so much of this character, especially interactions with Captain Marvel. I want to see that so much.
So she's using her powers, but she's doing them like reactively. Like she doesn't really know exactly how they function yet. So she's still just reacting with them and whatever. But she's extremely broken in the comics. So as Spectrum, she's a very broken character. She's got almost, in some ways, limitless amounts of power. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here because based on what we saw earlier in the series, she's not a fan of Captain Marvel anymore.
Right. That's why I want to see that interaction. And back in Captain Marvel, when they're at the dinner table talking, she was like talking about going up into space. And they were like, well, if you get your own ship or get your own powers, you can meet her halfway. And it's like, that can happen
because
now.
The thing is, once she learns how to really use her powers, she can fly in space and do all the stuff that Captain Marvel does.
And I really want to see her explore those powers that she has.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to see her in, I'm thinking, Captain Marvel 2. I think that's a no-brainer. And she's probably going to be in Secret Invasion as well at this point. I think that's also a proper way to carry on her character. So when the Skrull pulls her aside of that end credit scene and talks to her and says he wants to speak with you or he wants to meet you, who is he? Because I'm assuming it's Nick Fury.
Yeah, Samuel L.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Because there's a lot of theories on who he could be. I think Nick Fury is the most logical. And one thing I've learned from WandaVision in the last few weeks, stop overthinking it. Just don't overthink it. Literally, whatever the most rational thing is probably what it's going to be. Or
that's probably just make it Fury.
That's what I said before in the series. Like people were going way out there. I did it too, man. I did it too. And you would look at the deep cuts, and they weren't even deep cuts.
Is it Professor Xavier? Is it
Corsair? It was literally something there for us to look at, to theorize on, because they want to throw you red herrings. When in reality, if you just stick to the basic idea of what's happening, you won't set yourself up. Because if you didn't read those comics and you didn't know that stuff wouldn't be there for you.
Yeah. Just go right over your head.
So with this whole Monica story, just real quick before we move on, do you think so? Because her mother's call sign when she was flying was Photon. Yeah. So do you think she's going to be that character? Because that was an alias she used as well in the comics. She going to be Spectrum, or are they going to give her like a classic Captain Marvel? Like, are they going to try and put a spin on that? Because I think branding wise, I think it would be a little bit weird to have two Captain Marvels.
Yeah, because already just Ms. Marvel and
we're going to have Ms. Marvel as well. Yeah. So
well, you got to think like they did, what? 4 films technically with Wanda, right? Was it Age of Ultron? She was in Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. So 4 films, and she never had her title. I think Monica Rambeau will probably just stay that way until like the end of her first film or something like that, where somebody like maybe Carol something be like, oh, that's kind of a cool spectrum thing you got there of powers. Oh, that's what I'll call myself. I think that's
interesting. The actress who played Monica's mother in Captain Marvel is playing the new 007. Oh wow.
That's I heard about that. It's kind of rumor at this point, but I don't know if anything's been confirmed yet.
Right. All right. So let's talk about the kids briefly, because they had a very short wrap up in the series. It was very emotional, but it was short. We got to see them use their powers against the Sword Agents when Wanda was like, take care of the government or take care of the military or whatever. She flew away and let them use their powers. It was a very brief scene. We got to see them use their powers a little bit. And then, of course, we find out that they can't exist outside the Hex as well as Vision. So Hex is gone, family is gone. And so we learned this, and this was a speculation, and we've talked about this week after week, whether or not we truly believe the kids could exist in or outside of the Hex. Because according to Monica, when she came out, she said that everything in there was real. So I assume the kids were real, but I'm assuming from her perspective,
for all she knew, it's like, they were real too, but they weren't. Because she don't know anything about this magic stuff.
Yeah. So we find that out, and then she has to say goodbye to the kids. That was probably the biggest curveball for me in the episode, because I thought the kids would definitely age up, and I thought they would move on to be Young Avengers. But this was a dark and very heartbreaking ending, and we're going to talk about the end credit scene in a bit. But I think this ending is leading into where I think they're taking the Scarlet Witch character. So what did you think of the kids wrap up for their story here in this series? Were you okay with it? Did you want to see them go on further? Or
I think we're going to see them again. Probably not in this state, but we'll see them again. And also that one thing where she said at the end, say, thanks for choosing me to be your mom. What was that all about? Like,
because I think
like some entity from some chaos entity. That
we don't know. We have no idea, because it makes no rhyme or reason that she was pregnant in the first place. So, I mean,
I don't know. I don't remember in the comics if they came back and they still retained the memories, because then they disappeared for a while in the comics, right?
Oh, their story was very weird in the comics as well. So
they did disappear then come back.
Yeah, because Agatha originally made Wanda forget that she ever even had kids.
That was right. Storyline. They are filming right now for Doctor Strange too. At least I know for a fact Emily Olsen's there, but I don't know about the actors for the children or not. It'd be interesting to see them come back. I didn't want them to go away. It was sad to see them go away. I mean, we'll just see what the future holds. I thought that whole scene was really good. I think we watched it twice. We rewound it and watched that scene again. So it was very good. If you put yourself in Wanda's shoes, she literally had to watch Vision die 3 times. It's like, come on, man. It's crazy.
So, and I guess we can, we'll talk about that in a moment. I want to talk about the Agatha versus Wanda stuff. So we had an initial fight where before White Vision, fight. Yeah. Well, I like the one where she hit her with the car because she couldn't use her power. So she just picked up an object and then threw it at Agatha or whatever. But then when it had her the car inside the house or whatever, it had the boots on the ground, just like Wizard of Oz.
Very wicked. Very wicked Witch of the West. Very,
So let's talk about, along with this, let's talk about the overall thoughts on Agatha. How do you feel about this character? Because I feel like Agatha / Agnes was one of the best parts of the series. I think she was played really, really well. I think Kathryn Hahn, that played this character, did a great job. And I don't think that they could have done this character in the way they did it without setting the show up in such a weird way.
Yeah.
Because think about it, the idea of her being a witch and showing up with this classic witch costume and everything, it would have seemed so cliche in a normal Marvel thing, but because of the show, it didn't seem.
She becomes the tropey nosy neighbor that's in pretty much every sitcom for the past 80 years.
I think Agatha was one of, if not arguably, the best thing about WandaVision, just because of her character growth and how likable she was, even as a villain. I still didn't dislike her, right? Seeing her backstory and how powerful she was, being able to absorb witches' powers and then use them, is so broken that I was heavily disappointed with what she could do with her abilities. because I understand what she was trying to do. She wanted Wanda to be able to use her powers on her so she could absorb them.
Mhm.
But you look at someone, she said that she is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme, Wanda. That would mean she's more powerful than Doctor Strange.
Mhm.
That means Agatha would have to really be able to throw out some knowledge of spells. You saw Doctor Strange fight Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet and did all kinds of crazy stuff. Agatha didn't really do anything other than put leashes on children and maybe make some people remember some stuff. She could have really done a lot more. And I know it's a show, but to show the scale of what Wanda can do, to be a witch, to go up against that and have the knowledge of the Darkhold,
do you think
do
that
nothing?
if Agatha couldn't absorb powers, would she have been any threat to Wanda at all?
If she absorbed Wanda's powers?
if she didn't have the ability to absorb witch's magic, do you think
from what she showed, no? And that's what I mean. Like, I understand she wanted Wanda's powers to have, to be able to conjure abilities without, having to speak incantations and so on and so forth. But like, you see someone like Doctor Strange who can fight pretty quickly, still having to do his incantations and all that stuff. She literally didn't do any of that, and all she did was kind of throw some fireballs. Like, I wanted to see so many more. Like, if you watch the Doctor Strange movie, you see them do so much.
Yeah,
right.
You do a lot more. But dog,
she's been around since the 1600s with the Darkhold.
You're forgetting one thing though. She did kill Sparky though.
She did, and I mean, here's the thing: she killed Sparky, and I wasn't mad.
Bro, here's the other thing.
I'm like, I knew it.
Like,
but that's it.
Yeah.
Magic in the comics has very different. Like in Marvel Comics, the way magic functions really depends on what kind of magic you're actually using.
Yeah,
so
they don't explain it too well. Hopefully,
in the
next Doctor Strange movie, they actually really explain it.
And anybody in the chat that may know more about this than I do, because I am not a huge Doctor Strange fan, but I do know a little bit about the character. You can correct me on this. Doctor Strange, when he casts spells, he pulls magic from specific beings in specific places. Like, he's not someone that has control over, I guess, what you would call like ambient magic, which is like magic from nature and stuff like that. He literally has magical items, and the spells he casts come from he can call on the power of this person, call on the power of that person. That's kind of how he functions in the comics. Now in the MCU, we don't really see it that way. He casts spells by doing hand signs and those in the spell books that he has.
Yeah, some somatic and vocal components.
Yeah, whereas Agatha and a lot
material
of the
components though
in Marvel pull from ambient magic. Like, they actually have the ability to channel magic themselves. Like, it's not pulling the power of somebody else. So I think that's the distinct difference in the comics. And those are probably not specifically right, but my point is that they're giving us, there's two different types of magic at work here. And they weren't very clear about that. So, you go with that. And, but I will say I loved Agatha, and I think the battle was really great for a TV series. And also, I want to say, is there any doubt that a villain typically plays out better on TV because you get more time to learn about the villain than in movies? Because movies, you spend so much time focusing on the heroes, the villains don't always get enough time on screen. And on TV shows.
I honestly would put Agatha in one of the few good Marvel villains.
Yeah, I think a TV show does better overall in general. If you give a TV show
the greatest villains, I'm only saying that because there's so many great villains that are TV
Grant
show
Ward.
Villains. Yeah.
Grant Ward was amazing. Kingpin was amazing.
The Purple
Man was amazing.
Tennant. Speaking of OP characters, Purple Man, if he would have had ambitions, he would have been even worse.
So I think TV shows are better. If a TV show has the thing with what you get with movies is it's just bigger, it's better, right? It's all in your face all at one time. You can tell a pretty good story in a couple hours. But if a TV show gets the same budget, I feel like, or the same type of like passion, I feel like a TV show can be better.
Yeah. Here we go. Crazy Cat Lady Gamer reviewer, $2 super chat. Go Darcy. I love the car scene. Happy late birthday.
I'm so mad we only saw her in that one scene and that was it.
Yeah. Thank you for the birthday shout out. So let's talk about Darcy briefly, and we'll also talk about Jimmy Woo, and then we'll move on from there. Darcy got one scene.
I know. I was so
in the
mad.
finale, and then she left. Do you think that has to do with the fact they had to shoot more stuff after COVID started? Because apparently they had some stuff they had to reshoot. Do you think that had something to do with
it?
Maybe
that was probably some studio behind the scenes stuff.
Her role was filled. No offense to Darcy, I love the actress and I love the character, but she served no purpose in that finale other than what she did.
Yeah,
I mean,
she
if she showed up, she wouldn't have done anything anyway.
And I think the only reason she showed up was so people wouldn't go, "What happened to Darcy?"
Yeah, she's just a smart person. She has no combat abilities whatsoever.
Right. Let's see. So Hayward shot at the kids. That make him a villain or not a villain? Because
Hayward.
In first place.
Why was he this mustache twirling villain? Would it be a bad mustache twirling villain?
Let's talk about the only bad character.
Just shoot kids.
The only bad character in the series was Hayward.
Yeah,
I think that was on purpose.
They did him dirty.
I mean, I literally think he was supposed to be set up as the bad, so that way you didn't think Agatha was the bad. Probably. And then once she was found out, he was a joke of a character to start with. Don't get me wrong. If they really put their efforts into what Sword is, which this show wasn't about, maybe you could see how Hayward worked his way up into the ranks. But I think he was just your typical director. That's all he was. He was just a typical
1990s general. I mean, he was a 90s general character.
That's always, general. We could go with that.
Yeah, because he's one of those characters where he was like, take her out. It's like, it's just all the decisions he made were so outdated. I just was like, this is really stupid.
He's the person in the Godzilla movie where it just goes, shoot it. It's not going to do anything but piss it off. Shoot it anyway. Get it out of my sky. Whatever.
Yeah.
Then
very, very, very campy, very, very forgettable character. And I think.
And everybody thought he was going to be Ultron. Everybody thought he was going to be Ultron.
What this show did from start to finish was throw you red herring after red herring, and everything that people were hoping for Hayward didn't matter because he was a throwaway character.
Yeah,
that's all he is. He's a throwaway character.
Let's talk about.
You're not going to hear about him later.
Yeah, let's talk about Jimmy Woo briefly because he had some interactions with Hayward, and then he called in the cavalry there by bluffing with him,
and stealing the phone right in front of a guard that wasn't even looking. That guard needs to be fired.
We've already talked about how stupid the guards are.
The guards they're like stormtroopers basically. So but here, the thing is, and we'll talk more about Jimmy in detail when we talk about the whole season. But in this finale episode, he really was just kind of there. They didn't really do much with him, and he was there to get the agents there to scoop up Sword at the end. That was pretty much it. That was all he was there for this episode. There really was no other reason at all for him to be there. But I will say, like I said, I've enjoyed him, and we'll talk more detail about him later on. So I guess we'll dive into Wanda now, because this is kind of what the show was about. Really was about Wanda and Vision, which is why I feel this finale did a really good job, because it did focus primarily on the two characters the show was supposed to be about, which was Wanda and Vision. So Wanda's dealing with all this stress of the hex and everything that she's done to these people. And she's struggling on, do I save my family? Do I save this neighborhood? This Westview place or whatever. And all these things that are going on. And we see her fighting and like coming up, realizing that she's a Scarlet Witch character and whatnot. And overall, I think that every question I needed answered for Wanda, as far as this series is concerned, they handled it in this finale. Every question. I don't think I left this finale.
Wanda. Absolutely.
Wanda.
Absolutely.
Because we know she's got another story coming, but I think this chapter closed. Yes. Like, I feel like this chapter was closed at the end of this episode.
Do we think she's a villain now?
I think she's a gray Jedi.
Yeah.
I can tell you now. I know we're talking about Wanda, so I'm not going to get off the beaten path yet. We could talk about something else after. But with Wanda, seeing her outfit, when she finally got her outfit, which looked, again, it's fan theories, and I'm not but it looked like Magneto's from
It
Apocalypse.
does look like Magneto's.
So good, though. Her costume is so good.
Yeah, very
much so. I think her whole story in this series was great
too, because this is all Wanda we're talking now. So costume is on the table as well. Let's see, Quindolin here with the 4-9 super chat. Good to see you, Quindolin. The ending of WandaVision was good, but still felt like it left me like, hey, that's it. I so hope they don't do that with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I get the setup of the MCU, but
I completely agree. Yeah.
So you also felt that as well?
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way for a couple reasons. The reason why is the TV shows, if you watch the Netflix series and if you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the other ones that got canceled halfway through, they were all just there to feed you, right? They're just giving you a little bit. They're just giving you a little bit here and there, just so until they can give you the big and bad movies. This one here, when they said they were doing WandaVision, I didn't expect anything from this show.
Yeah,
we saw the trailer and I'm like, I don't know where this show is going. I don't know what's happening. And I watched it. I got invested. right? And then there was all these big blown out proportion things that it could and couldn't be. But at the end of the day, Wanda had massive growth in this, and she left you with she has the Darkhold, guys. Like,
and now she has access to all of her powers too. She understands.
She was astral projecting while also drinking a cup of tea. Doctor Strange can't even do that. No. This character in the future is busted.
Yeah.
And to show you where she's going, leaving you with I understand, but she's going places. Vision, we don't know what's happening with him.
Yeah, I mean,
some things are going to happen with her.
Yeah, I'm talking like from episode 1 through episode 10. It was like at the end of 10, I was like, okay, fine.
Let me just reiterate this to
everyone. I wish there was a bigger. I guess I wish there was a bigger.
It's just all that. Yeah. Once I saw that in the credit scene, then I was like, oh, where are they going with this?
All right. So let me just reiterate to everyone. And I said this, I don't know, probably weeks ago. We've talked about this many times, and I've said it to you guys. I will not. I want to take the trophy for saying this because I've said it and people have argued with me about it. Wanda is the most powerful character in the MCU right now. Easily the most powerful character. I said she was back in the day. If there was a Phoenix Force in the MCU, that would be Wanda right now. And here's the thing, in the comics, Wanda has actually taken on the Phoenix Force and defeated the Phoenix Force before in the comics. So this is a character who is technically more powerful than the Phoenix Force. She's literally fought the Phoenix Five and basically just told them goodbye. She's tapped them on the head and been like, all right, you're out. Like, and she's that powerful. That's why I can see where if someone was like, "Oh, that's it," like wanting more, because that's what I mean about the fight between her and Agatha. It was a great fight. It was cool understanding the knowledge and putting the runes out in the hex so she could no longer use her magic. I thought that was cool, but that fight should have been so much bigger. But I guess if it was a movie, it would have been. And I think somewhere along the lines, I think they said the finale. Wanda almost defeated Thanos by herself.
She would have.
Yeah, she did take her off with like one hand while she was trying to destroy.
He literally sent his army after her.
Access to her Scarlet Witch powers. So
I understand. Like a quarter of her powers.
I can understand the feeling kind of I do understand that, but that one credit scene after me watching that, I think seeing the future of where this goes. Yeah, okay, I'm okay with that. I'm on board with that.
So let's speak on that for a second. So this Darkhold doesn't look exactly like the Darkhold from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's the same size.
I have problems with that. I have problems with this.
Okay, go ahead, say what it is, because I feel like I'm going to be on the same page as you with this.
In Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Darkhold did some crazy things. It was a very big focus point, and it was actually very powerful.
The whole season was dedicated to it.
And I was like, when people were saying it was the Darkhold in this show, I'm like, but it can't be, right? Because Ghost Rider took it to hell. Where'd you get it from? It was also in the Runaways, but I don't remember what they used it in the Runaways for.
Runaways, it still looked the same as it did in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think it's still
so this one looks different. So maybe Multiverse of Madness, is there maybe more than one Darkhold? Or all it does is kind of further the argument that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and them weren't tied, but literally Graviton
this is really the only explanation. This is what I thought.
Is it there's multiple copies?
Okay, yeah. Okay, then in that case, that's fine.
That's
what I was going to say, because
sense. And here's the thing: there's a lot of books with power, but they use Darkhold because Darkhold is technically the most powerful magical book in Marvel lore. Like it's the one that gets used the most often, but we see Wanda in the end credit scene in front of a mountain range, which, by the way, people keep saying it's Wundagore Mountain. I stop reading into this stuff. Stop with these things. It's just a mountain range right now. Come on. Like, theories are fun, but look where it's gotten us, right? Anyway.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
She's remote mountain range or whatever. And you're right. She's walking around just doing daily stuff. Like, I'm going to have breakfast. I'm going to drink some tea. I'm going to sit outside and just hang out or whatever. And at the same time, I'm astral projecting and reading the Darkhold in the room around the corner from here. So over here, it looks like your normal house, and then you walk the corner, and it's literally like Satan's play room. It's the craziest thing. But we also hear the kids yelling out for help.
So for help, yeah. Which she confirmed on Jimmy Fallon that she was on set filming for Doctor Strange too.
Right.
So she is there. If people were wondering before she let that loose, I don't think it's any secret, but. If I saw that version of Wanda in the movie and I'm like, where did that come from? I understand not seeing the show, but it'll be interesting.
So Introverted Unicorn here with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Apparently, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon, even though they've had multiple movie crossovers into the show. So I think this has been debated a bit. I know Kevin Feige has contradicted himself a few times when he's talked about this. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started out canon, and then at a certain point, it went in a separate direction, I believe.
Once they went into the future, I think it was over. Because Graviton in that season literally said, "Who's this Thanos guy?" and literally left to go fight him. They were like, "We can't let him fight Thanos."
By the way, I don't know how powerful Graviton would have been in the show, but if Graviton would have went after Thanos, that would have been a tough fight for Thanos because Graviton is really powerful.
I'm just like, I know that people from Thor has been on the show multiple times. I know that they, everything that happened in the Captain America films directly affected the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. I think once they went into the future and changed their timeline and came back, it was no longer canon. But all that Darkhold stuff happened prior. The framework happened prior.
It was one season prior to that. Yeah.
So and it has to be canon because Coulson is there, and the whole reason why he's there. Nick Fury was on the show.
If there is one show,
was he on the show?
Yeah, Nick Fury was in one episode.
Yeah, but
was he in there?
Yeah, I think so.
Let me just say this: if there's any
From what
show
little I've seen
outside of all the Marvel TV shows, including Netflix and Hulu and everything, if there's one show that is going to be canon, it has to be
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
So I don't know. Vastly here, off topic, but if a show like WandaVision made us speculate about things like this so much, then imagine where the MCU is going with setting up all these storylines like Darkhold. So we're going to talk about that next week's. We're going to talk about all of this because we're going to talk about the whole season and what it could mean for the MCU. But you're absolutely right. I mean, this is like speculation territory at this point. So all that aside, because we are going to go over that next week, because we're going to talk about how speculations affected the show, how it affected the season, all of that. What would you guys rank this finale episode of WandaVision based on what we saw this season without any of that outside influence at all? Like what would
with no outside influence, I'll go first because I don't like to let Omega talk. One of the things that I would say about this finale is it led up to finishing the story between Wanda and Vision in a pretty good fashion. I liked the fight. I liked the thought. I like I said, with the whole runes and the little Wizard of Oz throwback, the two witches fighting.
Teleporting too. We forgot about that. She teleported as well.
She did, and she went to the little spot where she went up to her and messed with her head and then walked back quick like she did in Age of Ultron. It was a good finale if you didn't expect too much. Now, when you're going into a Marvel thing, usually you do expect a lot because they usually throw a lot at you. And in this case, they tried to throw you a lot of red herrings. For a TV show, it was good. If I had to rank this compared to the Netflix shows and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think it's better than the Jessica Jones stuff. I think this finale did very well. I think it was better than like Luke Cage and Iron Fist. So I really think this finale was good. I think it was very good. It had everybody in the house invested and very sad to see it go. We were like, man, that's it for WandaVision.
And just think 2 weeks from now, we'll be getting the first episode of Falcon.
Which is what I'm really interested in.
Yeah, those are going to be crazy. So what about you, Omega? Thoughts on this?
This one is on this episode alone, being that this was the landing. It landed, but kind of stumbled a little, but still stuck the landing a bit. It was just mainly with the thing with Vision and how, especially with White Vision, just pieced out and we never saw him again. So if we're giving out numerical ratings at this point, I'd say this is about a 8. Because all the rest of the episodes I've given about like 9s. This is about a solid 8.
Okay.
It was like I said, it concluded a lot of things. It had a lot of action in it, but it did also leave some stuff where you just kind of thought, wait,
there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah,
there's a lot of what will Sword do now that she's gone? Are they just going to let her go?
Yeah, and a lot of bad decisions where it's like, okay, why did Jinwoo just completely sleight of hand that phone with the guard standing right behind it? Was minor stuff, minor nitpicks like that. It was just a lot of minor nitpicks.
Okay,
so that's why
I don't think there was.
I say an 8.
If there is something major I missed, it's not rare that I miss things. But if I'm engulfed in a show long enough to not have it hit me to where I'm like I can't get it out of my head, overall it's pretty good. So I would say if I had to give it a score for just the finale, this is not the overall series.
Yeah, it's not.
This is not the overall story. Just the finale for me is a 7.5 out of 10. It's not a phenomenal finale because because there were, like I said, the fight for me could have been better, right? The overall use of magic, in my opinion, could have been better. TV show aside, right? And the Vision on Vision fight was. I feel like that fight is where all the budget went. Yeah, which is fine. It's a very good fight, but not knowing where he goes. They didn't really leave this on a cliffhanger for a season 2, if that makes sense. Yeah. But they didn't wrap up everything to where you're like, oh, cool, I have no questions. Yeah. So
okay, that makes sense. I would say I would give it like between an 8 and an 8.5 out of 10 for me. And that's only because I just really, really enjoyed a lot of the performances in it. But I understand all the criticisms that everybody has for it, and I understand the scoring and stuff. So a lot of people were wondering where my actual review for the finale is, and I did not put it out because I did a live stream yesterday for my birthday. And if you guys want to see that, it's available for Team Eric members. So if you want to go watch that, you have to click the join button, and it's there from yesterday. But I didn't do the review yesterday. So anybody who wants to know my thoughts on the finale, I'm doing a special like season overview video or whatever that'll come out tomorrow for Team Eric members, and it'll run all week long. So if you're a Team Eric member, you'll have early access for an entire week for that season overview. And then next week we will have a episode of the Weekly Geekly where we're really just going to talk about all the stuff surrounding the series, like all the rumors, all the theories, how it affected the show, how it affected the viewing experience for some people. Did it affect it for you guys? How about your families, your friends? I mean, what did you hear? This, that, and the other. And theories about stuff moving forward after this, because I think there are a lot of possibilities for things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the introduction of some of the stuff that happened in the series. And I do believe, and I don't know if you guys are going to agree with me on this or not, that if all of the shows are going to sort of do what WandaVision did, then I expect we're going to always walk away from the end of the series halfway satisfied, because we're going to get a wrap up for what the shows are doing, but we're definitely going to get setups for movies and other things. I think that's because that's what they do in the movies. But I think on a TV show, it's going to feel a little bit different because we spent so much time with these characters. Because think we're getting 6 hours of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Those are hour-long episodes, 6 episodes of that length. So that's a lot of time with those characters. So with one season and no plans for a second season, I don't think yet. So I think we're going to walk away from it. What do you guys think about that overall, about the way they're based on the ending of this, how it feels like not only a self-contained show, but also a vessel for like upcoming stuff? You okay with that?
I think it's kind of interesting the way they're doing this. I'm not sure if any other media license ever done anything like this before. If so, I'm not familiar with it, but I'm like I said before, I'm here for the ride.
Yeah, I think the TV shows are, I know WandaVision wasn't supposed to be the start, so we'll see where Falcon and Winter Soldier go. But I think it's cool to have a series, like we're going to have the Loki series, Hawkeye series, have a bunch of TV shows, like I said, that keep us, happy and seeing where our favorite characters are, maybe not favorite characters, but the MCU characters are. And then we get to see the movies take place for the big stuff. So I'm okay with that. I think it's cool. I like it. So, I got Disney Plus for Captain and Winter Soldier. So
yeah. So all right. So we also moving forward, we know we have 4 movies this year. Also, or supposed to have 4 movies, which is Black Widow, Eternals, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man 3. Supposed to come out this year. Or whatever. So we're supposed to have 4 movies. Based on that and the Marvel content we have this year, it's going to be a lot. It's a lot of stuff coming out from them, because we're going to have also the What If series. We have the Loki series. We have the Hawkeye series. We have possibly Ms. Marvel. I'm not sure if that comes out at the end of this year or not. It's just so much stuff. And what I'm really excited about is now, because of the way we do these podcasts on Sundays, when movies come out on a Friday, we can actually talk about them live with everybody on these podcasts with the Marvel movies, because before we had to like record them and edit them and get them uploaded, but now we can literally just say on Sundays we're going to talk about whatever the latest movie is. And I know the first we're supposed to get is Black Widow. Before we wrap all this up, do you anticipate Black Widow getting pushed back, because it is supposed to come out in May? Do you think it's going to get pushed back, or do you think they're going to release it in theaters and VOD? What do you think? Because that's what they're doing right now.
I think they should release it. I think they should release it in theaters and VOD. Now, they specifically said Spider-Man is only in theaters.
That's a long way away.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They did not say that about Black Widow.
Right.
So maybe it won't be. I hope it's not. I hope it's on VOD as well.
So what about you, Omega? You think it's going to get pushed back, or you think they're going to like do a modified release for it?
I'm sorry, for which movie? I was
Or Black Widow.
Oh, Black. It does. Like I said before, if they don't need to push that thing back any further than it already.
It's been 2 years. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, I don't think it gets pushed back again.
They can't. They absolutely can't push it back.
It comes out.
It just needs. Yeah, it just needs to freaking.
Has it been 2? It feels like it's been 10 years.
It's the Snyder cut. Just get it over with.
Half a decade ago, honestly.
It's the Snyder cut. Get it over with.
So it's so weird they took so long to put one out. But yeah, so we're gonna wait and see. And, Introverted Unicorn here, or Shane actually says that's what he got the streaming service for the same reason. And Unicorn says I can't wait for the Loki series. I'm excited for that as well. It's gonna be really good. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. We're around the hour mark, and we've kind of exhausted everything on this topic. Anything else we do would be talking about the season, and I want to save that for next week. So make sure you guys check out Cyber and Omega's content. Do you guys have anything you want to say before we head out for the night?
I do have, if you're following my DeviantArt, I do have something in the works. I just gotta, set my computer to render overnight because it takes about a good hour and a half for that stuff to get right. And then once that 2 hours is up, I got to check to see if everything's right and then do post-work. It just takes a while. Yeah, I got something coming though.
Okay. Cyber, you anything going on?
Yeah, so I just uploaded. I don't do, guys. I maybe I'll have time in the near future, but I upload a lot of my stuff from Twitch over to my YouTube channel. But mostly right now, I'm focusing on the Coin Op Conversation podcast, which I do every Tuesday at 9:00. I uploaded the last Tuesday and the Tuesday before's today. The thumbnails all look the same, guys. I haven't gone in and edited episodes or put in timestamps. It's mostly video game talk, especially about the arcade days. I think last week's was about the Square Enix releasing the DLC on the PlayStation 5. It gets a little heated. It does get heated. I think I yell a lot. I lost my voice after it was over.
It was more civil than it was more civil than Twitter. I'll say that much.
Take it for what it is. But that's over at my YouTube channel, and I do stream, as you see, at twitch.tv/cyberninja, which I do mostly gaming content over there. So you guys can go watch it over on YouTube or go follow me over at Twitch. It's free. Well, it's free.
Yeah. So there you go. It's free. Go do it. Go watch it. Anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. If you didn't get to see this from the beginning and you want to hear all of our thoughts on the finale of WandaVision, be sure to check back over on YouTube if you're watching this on Twitch, and you can watch it all on playback. It should be available here in just a bit. There's no timestamps this time because it is simply just all about WandaVision. So there we go. That's it, guys. We're going to head out of here, and we will see you next week. Take care.